Robbie Lane here from Zoomer Radio, and I've got one of my oldest friends in the music business here with me, a legend, a national treasure, if I might say, Gordon Lightfoot. So nice to see you, Gordon.
Thank you, Robbie.
And a new album.
I do. It is new, and it is unexpected.
Well, I remember talking to you, I think probably half a dozen years ago, and you'd said to me, I'm not ever going back to do a studio album. This is not a studio album. You found this when you were cleaning out your old office.
Well, but it was done in studio.
Yes, yeah.
But they are demos.
Yep. And from what era?
1998.
Wow. And when you went through them, were you surprised to even find them in the first place?
Yeah, I recognize there's about 5 of them that I did not remember writing at all. Really, so this was like a year and a half ago that this went down. So I was already nursing about 5 other tunes that could have made it on an album, and all of a sudden, while moving offices one day, I discovered a CD with a bunch of stuff on it that I didn't recognize that had been delivered to me at the time that I had was out for 28 months with an aneurysm back in 2002.
Yep.
Getting back.
That's when you died.
Well, they thought, that was a different time when they had that.
Oh, was it?
It was later. That was much later. But that was a great day. I mean, you could talk about that. That was a very interesting day.
Well, didn't you actually call a radio station and say, "This is Gordon Lightfoot. I'm alive"?
Well, yeah, yes, I was on I heard it on my car radio, with "If You Could Read My Mind" playing in the background, and
saying that you were.
That happened about 15, 18 years ago, and as soon as I got into my office, I just got right on the phone and called I was on the news. Okay, I was on the news station, and I said, "That's the wrong song. You should have been playing Sundown." I said, "No, I'm alive." And the guy that was on the air, I could tell you who he was, but I can't remember his name right now. He's really well known too. He has his own talk show. He's in Vancouver.
And I bet he was surprised.
Yeah, and later on in the day, they had me come in the station. I said, "Okay." I went in, and my son called. He was on the train coming from Halifax to Montreal when he heard about it on the train, and he said, "I knew it wasn't so." And my daughter, Ingrid, got very emotional about it. And the rest of it was more or less, well, you're going to find out who did it? Well, no, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, what good would it do?
Yeah, just, it's fine. And we just moved up right on from there. It was I found it to be quite entertaining, actually.
It was.
Yeah. So.
The rumors of my death are greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, well, you see that. Yeah, that's an old one from the old writer.
Yep.
Mark Twain. That was one of the things that he said. He said the rumors, the whole thing is. The rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
Well,
But he says something else at the beginning, though. I can't think of what the heck it is.
Well, we'll Google it.
Yeah, okay. You can get them.
Okay, the album is called Solo.
Yeah.
But I read something kind of interesting, that your 4-year-old granddaughter, you originally, I think, were going to call it Bear Tracks. And your 4-year-old granddaughter came up with a name that I don't think you would use. Do you remember what that was?
Well, I don't think I can repeat that on television or on radio.
Yeah, you can.
I repeat that on radio.
You can.
At this point. Can
I?
Well, sure.
Your 4-year-old granddaughter wanted to call it Bear Ass Tracks.
Yeah, but we were talking about that in the kitchen with one night around Christmas time. And we were trying to figure out what to call the album. And this album has nothing on it except the vocal and the guitar. Right. And I said, we'll call it Side Tracks, or we'll call it Bear Tracks. So we said to the little girl, she said, which ones do you like? And she said, I like Bear, and then she stopped. Then she stopped, and she kind of got kind of shy and screamed. And she's a fairly exuberant little kid too, but she wouldn't say the whole word, so she stopped. It was just Bear, like that. And so we didn't use either. When it became apparent that after about 5 or 6 months of working on this stuff and preparing all the band tracks and doing all the arrangements and beginning to teach the stuff to my band, a great bunch of guys, great bunch of guys, wonderful people, we started listening to these tunes. One day over at Bob Dodge's studio, and they said, you know something? I said, I like the sound of my left foot going on a couple of those takes. I could hear my left foot going on the, you know.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose that.
No.
So we thought about for another 2 or 3 months longer, and I started teaching it to Carter one day, showing it to us, our lead guitar player, running through one of the tunes with him, even like in the afternoon during the sound break, and I said, we haven't got time. The sound break is for rest. We're getting ready to do a show tonight. We're not going to work on this stuff right now. And I say, this is going to take me 2.5 years. I said to myself then. So I thought about it for another 3 or 4 months after that. I mean, it's happened like a 1.5 years ago. And finally, about 5 or 6 months ago, just before I fell and almost broke my leg and gave myself a huge injury to my left leg, which I'm still recovering from, we spent more time in the studio and even re-recorded one thing right from the ground up. I did one of these things is done right from square one.
Oh, okay.
But the other 4 plus the 5 that I found, the 5 that I found, we were going to re-record them all and do them right up from the ground. I said, but I'm going to lose my left foot beating on the studio floor anyway, and I don't want to do that. So, we had more than enough. I've actually got 4 or 5 more tunes left over, actually, right now.
Well, I want to ask you this because it's important. Your fan base is gigantic, as you know. Everyone in it, including myself, has been waiting for something new from you, and we have it. Even though you say it's old new, but it is. Tell me on the new album Soul, your favorite track. Can you pick one?
Well, okay. It's called, the favorite song is Easy Flow.
Easy Flow.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to play that tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. And I asked you this once before. I want to see if I get the same answer.
Yeah.
All of the hits that you've had over the 6.5 decades that you've been recording, what is the #1 song in your head from Gordon Lightfoot?
Of all the stuff that I've ever done?
All the stuff that you've had released as singles and have been hits.
Okay. It's on East of Midnight. That was a great album. Of all the things we've had that have made it in the charts,
yeah,
this one has not made it in the charts, but it's the best one. It's on East of Midnight. It's called A Passing Ship. A Passing Ship.
Okay.
It's called, it's my best tune.
Okay. And when I asked you several years ago about your singles that were released on charts, you told me Sundown.
Read my mind. I think if you could read my mind.
If you could read my mind. Either, you know what? I saw you perform at the Richmond Hill Center for the Performing Arts, and I believe it was in, seems like it was October, November of 2019.
Yeah.
And what I noticed from the very beginning of the show was that you were leaving verses out of certain songs. And I wondered, why is this? And you quickly explained to the audience who was trying to sing along and missing the verse that wasn't there, you said, well, the truth is, if we want to get all the songs in, we have to drop verses because there wouldn't possibly be time to get all the songs in. How many artists can say that besides you? Not very many.
Well, and it has to work too.
Yeah.
Like it's got to work. There's a way you can work with that and have some fun with it. I've got one song, for instance, where I just, all of a sudden, the whole song just stops. Just like that. It just stops. And the people who know the song, a few of them out in the audience will know where I'm going, and you'll hear them do the line, and I say, "Leave your name with my receptionist, and we'll call you. I want you on my next album."
That is great.
And they love hearing stuff like that, and that's a shortening thing we do. The other ones, yeah, we do. We drop verses all over the place because on several of the tunes, because it becomes like a medley.
Yeah.
Really, my show is like a medley, and I like to keep it moving. I don't like any dull spots at all. I always.
Well, it always does move. That show that night just, say it was over, it seemed like it was over a lot faster than the actual time because you just kept it moving. And those guys that you're working with in the band, they're amazing, those musicians.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, I can't stop talking about them, and they do such a great job. And they conduct themselves so well, and everybody's always ready to play. And they think about stuff like leading into tours. And we've all got families, and everybody's got responsibilities, and we try to separate the two, and family from business, and just like running any normal kind of an enterprise. I've been doing it so long, after a while you get to a point where it gets into a routine, which sounds really boring when it isn't, because having a routine, I find, is an exciting thing to have going on.
Well, I have one last question for you, and it's sort of a back question. When you had your aneurysm, your stomach aneurysm, you were in the hospital. You told me a few years later that it gave you time to go through a lot of material that you had previously recorded. And you made a decision at that time to put together the live albums from Massey Hall that had never been released, a lot of the live recordings. And that gave you something to look forward to. It gave you a goal. So now, 2.5 years ago, you discover these solo tracks when you're cleaning out your office, another goal. And now it's come to fruition. So what is the next goal?
The next goal is to go and do a whole bunch of shows, because we're booked. We are booked right halfway into 2021 right now, and we just don't want any. We hope we don't get into any health issues, because none of us is getting any younger, and we realize that, and things can happen. My little episode with my leg had me laid up for 4 months. And everything had to be changed, and everything had to be rerouted, and everything had to be looked after, and everybody was very patient about it. And we've got a wonderful bunch of people who work with me, who know what they're doing, and they all do a great job. And we've got our way through it. We're back. We've already been out there and done 9 shows in 12 days. We just got home.
Wow.
And that was down in stateside there. We're going out again in like 2 weeks to do the Heartland out there, starting in Iowa, and it's more fun being on there with the campaign. With the campaign going on, there's an electricity that goes through the crowd. I can't describe it. It goes with me right back to LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, for heaven's sake. This was the first time I ever played through a campaign, which he did not do. He pulled out.
Yeah, I remember that.
But there I ramble. I was aiming for something, but I forget what that was.
Well, you're aiming for, the goal is to do more touring.
Yes, and keep on improving my intonation, because I've been working on my...
You think there's something wrong with it?
Yeah, I've been working on my technique.
Okay.
I work on my technique. It's a hobby that I do on the side.
Well, all I can tell you, Gord, is that it's been a pleasure and an honor knowing you for all these years and watching your career never, ever falter. And I'm so glad that here we are so many years later sitting talking about a new album that's going to be I know it's going to be accepted by everybody and loved. And I want to thank you so much for taking time with me today.
All right, Robbie. Nice to be here.
We'll see you again.